Okay, so today we're going to look at the performance of Doom now that there's an updated limiter for Vulkan, at least for AMD. Now you might be asking, why am I using a camera? Well, it's really hard for me to get an accurate measurement if I'm using some sort of capture, because it's just not going to work on a single computer, and I don't have the equipment. So using a camera is a lot easier for me. I can actually kind of point out easily, hey, here's the current frames. I have both running. This is currently in OpenGL, and that's what we're going to take a look at first. So with OpenGL on Ultra, what you've got is a frame rate that's below 40, and that's actually below my FreeSync range. Now, if I go in this room, for example, it goes up to 50, above 50. Now, let me tell you, OpenGL is really smooth. It's just super butter smooth. It feels really good. Yeah, in this enclosed space with this frame rate, it's on Ultra, it just feels really, really, really good. Okay, so what we're gonna do here is I'm gonna cut and I'm gonna switch to Vulkan so we can see if there's a difference. And I also have the frame limit set to my global frame limit, which is 75 FPS, so it won't go over that. And I also have currently, some of the settings are, just so you can see, again, advanced, all of it set to Ultra. I just set it to the default quality of Ultra. And also I have vertical sync on because for me, it's ensuring some level of stability. I can turn it off and let FreeSync do its thing as well, and that'll be fine. But for now, I'm gonna leave it on and we'll see how that turns out. So let's go ahead and we're gonna do settings again, advanced, and we're gonna switch to Vulkan, and we'll be right back. Okay, so here we are back, and now as you can see here in the upper left, this is great. This didn't really exist even but a couple months ago, but Rivet Tuner now has Vulkan enabled, which is awesome. And you can see again, same kind of statistics are being displayed. I'm gonna go ahead and go back to the game. Okay, so here we are again. Now Vulkan's running, and we've got 60 something frames per second. Remember, we're on Ultra, okay? And then we'll go out here and we'll look around it. I want to give it a minute because there is a tendency for textures to stream in and for certain things to be loaded into memory, and that does take some time before it stabilizes. Now, if you can remember, when we were on OpenGL, we were seeing somewhere around 30 something, almost 40 frames per second over here while we were looking outside. And then when we go in, then we would see 50 something. So we're definitely seeing a higher FPS here, which is great. But now here's the downside. I don't know why this is, but it's very stuttery. Now, I've run into this before when I was playing around with Vulkan, and so I thought, well, okay, now remember I'm on VSync now, so let's go ahead and just to be absolutely certain that nothing's going wrong, let's go ahead and turn off our sync. And that way we're unbinding any kind of frame limit internally in the game. And then let's see if that helps. Okay, it's still, for 60 frames per second, this feels kind of stuttery to me, and I don't know if you can see this, and that's kind of why, using a camera, I wanted to kind of go over it. Now, I don't know what it is. It's the frame times or something is off. It doesn't feel right to me. It doesn't feel smooth. I would rather be playing on OpenGL, even though it's not as good. So here, let's just do a little kind of shoot 'em up here real quick. Okay, so the frame rate is great. We're doing 70 frames per second here with Vulkan, but it doesn't feel like it. Something is wrong. So there lies the problem and the controversy, and why I find doing this video important is it's not the same. So I'm going to go back just kind of prove a point. Now, you probably can't see it with 60 FPS, but it just doesn't feel. It feels like 30 FPS and I don't know why. So I'm going to go ahead and exit the game. Actually, we're going to take a look at RTSS and see what the statistics are right now on in the graph. So real quick, I wanted to review what was going on here. Now, if you examine the time that I was running in OpenGL, which is here, and then there's the time I was running using Vulkan, you can obviously see that Vulkan has a much higher frame rate, but you can't really tell by looking at the frame times if it's better. What I will say this is, even though the frame times and the frame rates are better in Vulkan, the frame stability and smoothness is not. And I don't know why that is. It's really bad. And that's always been like that. Every time I switch to Vulkan, I experience this lack of smoothness that discourages me from playing it. You can feel it. It's not something you can easily discern. So we're going to take another look at that I'm going to lower the settings again to high in the game and see what we can do with that. So I'll do a high with OpenGL, and then I'm going to do high with Vulkan, and instead of having it be such a like low frame rate and be within the FreeSync range. Okay, so for simplicity, we're going to do this in reverse. I'm going to go ahead and set this to high, and we're in Vulkan, so we want to experience what Vulkan is like on high for a minute. Okay, so again, although nothing dramatically better in a sense of frame rates. Okay, so this feels really good at the moment. Again, we're on high, we're playing Vulkan. This feels really smooth. I'm actually kind of impressed. It feels much better than it was. I don't necessarily know why. That might be some sort of memory limit problem. I don't know. So this feels great. Hello, explosive. Boom. Oh, I keep missing. There we go. Okay, on high, this feels extremely butter smooth right now. And again, we're on Vulkan. So, all right, so let's try switching to OpenGL and see what the difference is on high. Okay, so again, now we're kind of we're sitting here at around 40-something frames a second, which is still, believe it or not, for the most part, well, it's below the VSync limit. The FreeSync limit. So again, this right now feels super smooth. Like, it's butter smooth. Okay, it just feels really smooth in general. Like, now keep in mind, I do think I have VSync turned off at the moment. Let's take a look. Yeah, VSync is off, and it's running great. It just feels really smooth. Okay, so interestingly enough, I'm thinking, and we're going to try Vulkan one more time just to prove it, thinking that's part of the answer to this. Now, what I've noticed, and this might be the case, is that when in Vulkan, it's almost like the lower frame rates are more stuttery. Now, I don't know why that is. Is it because of the FreeSync or some sort of syncing issue? But it just feels more staggered and stuttery when it's below a certain, maybe it's not hitting the upper limit or something. I don't know why that is. But I have played this before, and it has been unplayable in Vulkan because of the strange stuttering frames. Okay, here we are again, running around 60. Feels a little bit stuttery at the beginning, but again, loading it up. Once we get out here, feels pretty smooth. Yeah, feeling buttery. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and run this real quick. Okay, well, the frame rates are pretty damn good. You might notice that the Vulkan thing up on the left is like flickering, and I think that's a problem with the latest RTSS. So just as kind of like a prove it moment, let's go on around here. I'm just kind of describing what it feels like. Again, we're above 60 FPS, but I don't know, it still feels strange. I remember thinking that if I turned on VSync, that would solve the problem. So I'm gonna do that, actually. I'm gonna switch to settings, video. I'm gonna turn VSync on and see if that solves the problem. And since it's stabilizing frames. It feels pretty good on high. I'm not really complaining. We need to do this one more time. Have a little more action. Okay, now I'm pretty sure every time I looked up, I was higher than 60 FPS on Vulkan, which again is great. And for the most part, this feels pretty stable. I'm going to switch back to OpenGL now. Again, we're on high and VSync is on. Okay, OpenGL, settings are on high, VSync is on. There we go. Okay. We're just going to kind of do our little run through here. Now again, this is what's strange. I'm at some point even below the VSync limit. Okay? Or sorry, at some points I'm even below the FreeSync limit. I don't care about all this, I'm just doing a test. Okay, so this feels, I don't know what to say. It just feels better, even though it's a lower frame rate. It just feels so much smoother. It's just, I can't really explain it. Yeah, I know I really didn't go too far with that, but I can assure you that OpenGL just feels better, even though I'm having as good or better frame rate with OpenGL. So I think that's the conclusion for this, and that I hope that other people experience that as well. And it's kind of sad because Doom is such an amazing game. I wish they would get this fixed, because clearly higher frames are better, right? Better frame times are better, and Vulkan has all the potential to be doing that. But at the same time, it's not. We're seeing very strange stuff going on that it makes me only want to play it in OpenGL, which again, I have to pull down the settings for that to work and be viable. So help me out, give a like to this video if it helped you. Again, I think more importantly, I would love to see people like commenting on this on forums and stuff, and trying to figure out what's going on. And hopefully this isn't something that's experienced by other games in the future with Vulkan, because it clearly has such a high potential for performance. All right, see you next time.